3 minutes. 3 minutes until showtime.
Essence of reality from a fog of illusion and confusion. You can find me on Studio B every Thursday, 1700 hours Pacific time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. No topic taboo, no subject too strange. I strive to take a neutral standpoint during the dissection of the topic at hand. That's Reality Extraction with Mr. Rowe on Revolution Radio.
Many years from now, would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom?
The future is uncertain. I know this. Death is inevitable. I know this. But one thing is certain, as free men, it is our right to live unencumbered and in peace. And those times are quickly drawing to an end. And in these times, peace is certainly an illusion, and as the chains grow tighter, our ability to slip those chains increase incrementally with every passing moment. Inaction is no longer an option. Time to raise our voices like a cacophony of thunder and lightning and tell the masters no more. This is Nighthawk, and I say, for myself, no more. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, because the freedom is slipping away.
And greetings, Earth Explorers. Welcome to X Squared Radio. We're coming to you live from an undisclosed location east of the Appalachian Mountains. We are coming to you through the America Free Radio studios, and we are streaming live on Revolution Radio on freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported network in America. We're also streaming live on Facebook, Periscope, Twitch, and DLive. Yes, that's right. I left one out. YouTube. We don't know what's going on with YouTube tonight, but YouTube has gone down for some reason. We don't know why. So if you're listening to me and you're trying to find me on YouTube, you followed that link that came up in your email, I am so sorry, but that link doesn't appear to be working. So you're going to have to go to Twitch, you're going to have to go to DLive, and while you're there, would be a good idea for you to follow me. Yeah, just follow me. 7th Orbit is there and Falcon 80th is there. Yep. I'm starting to like DLive as well. It's growing on me. Of course, it's not as easy as YouTube, but then it is a blockchain format, mostly designed for gamers, but a lot of us podcasters are beginning to file in there. Red Pill is in there and others are in there, and we're starting to light it up. Good to see you out there, Raspberry, and Mona is out there on the West Coast, and Professor Bauer. Oh, YouTube just came up? Well, thank you so much. How about that? I'm so happy. I'm happy. What is that? Patrick Fat Chick? Finally caught you live. Fire's had us running for a while. Yes, they do that. All right, listen, I really super appreciate everybody coming in tonight. The last few shows have just gone so fast because things are happening so quickly. And, after they nuked several of the top voices in news and analysis, you, the subscribers, scattered to the wind looking to and fro for truth, and you ended up here at America Free Radio, and we're so grateful. And we won't let you down. We'll make sure that you stay informed. All right, let's get started because we only have 2 hours. If you want to communicate with me, the way is super easy. You can chat on any one of these formats. Facebook, Periscope, Twitch, DLive, YouTube, it doesn't matter. I will see it on my master display over here. And I can then respond to your question, write you back maybe during the break. But I'll just try to do it live and stay up with you. Check my Skype messages really quick here. Just saw something pop up. Nope, that's yes. All right. Well, another streamer, colleague of mine, just said YouTube went down globally. Would you call that a glitch? Is that a glitch, Professor Bauer? I don't know. I wonder about that. I'm wondering, are they just testing the fences? I don't know. Listen. Here's the bottom line. China Joe has not been certified the winner of anything. Nothing. President Donald Trump issued a statement to corporate media Saturday, reacting to the declaration that Joe Biden had won the 2020 election. This is the corporate global media empire that declared Joe Biden the president-elect. We all know why Joe Biden is rushing to falsely pose as the winner, poser, and why his media allies are trying so hard to help him. They don't want the truth to be exposed. That's what he said. Trump said the election is far from over, and Biden has not been certified as the winner of any states. The Associated Press, blah, 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 all the global media empire declared Joe Biden the winner. But the point is, and it always has been, legal votes decide who is president, not the news media. The president said several states remain highly contested. As you know, Georgia is now officially going to be audited. It's different than a recount. A recount is where we just go back and count the ballots over again. Although that would show a lot, because I think probably what would happen is that the paper ballots are not going to line up with the electronic totals. Ooh, don't you hate when that happens? But an audit is a little different because an audit, there are some extra steps that are taken. When you look at the ballot, there are basically 3 criteria, and then, of course, the fourth is a effect of the first 3. The first one is that you have to see if the ballot arrived on time. If the ballot arrived late, it's tossed out. That's it. Them's the rules. It's just like that term paper. I thought it was due Monday. No. It was due at the end of class on Friday. Sorry. You get a big fat 0. But don't you think all the term papers should be counted? No. Everybody had the same amount of time. You had 3 weeks to get it done, and you didn't start on it until Saturday morning, the Friday after the term paper was due. So you get a big fat 0, and that goes toward your final grade. Them's the rules, people. So that's the first one. The second one is that the signature is going to be checked against historical records, your voter registration card and your previous ballots. If the signature does not substantially match, and I'm going to clarify that in just a second, it's tossed out, okay? The third criteria for checking those ballots is to make sure that the person that voted, the signature matching previous years, is alive. Yes, that's right. The voter roll is going to be checked against the Office of Vital Statistics at the state. And if the person's been dead, he didn't vote. Somebody voted in his place, but that ballot is tossed out. So after those first 3 things, and there are other criteria, but these are the very simple ones, very simple, very easy. There would be things like duplicate voters, out-of-state voters who voted in, say, Florida, and then also voted in Georgia because that's where they used to live and they got a ballot anyway. Those kinds of things. Other little criteria, not so much the high numbers. These first 3 are going to be the high numbers. But the fourth effect that happens is that when it's all said and done, the ballots that are remaining are the legal votes. Those are the legal paper ballots. Legal paper ballots. Are they 100%? No, they're not. There are still some flaws with them that could be picked out. Yes, I noticed YouTube is down globally, all over the world. They're saying it on Skype too. But Professor Bauer said it came back up. Still down. How about that? Don't you love it? Gosh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change hats. I got my JPL hat on right now because I want everybody to be one. But I think now, since YouTube has done this, we're going to bring the pain. Huh? Show of hands. Yes. I like it. It's the Punisher. So, the ballots that are remaining are not 100%. There are still some errors with them. For instance, there are things that don't make sense. You have a ballot that has, I don't know, in Georgia, there might be 37 different choices on it, all right? And they could be things like the district attorney and the city, or not the city council, but the chamber of commerce. I mean, there's all kinds of things could be on the ballot. State senators, state representatives. Who even knows who those people are in Georgia? I don't. I know my local ones here, but not many people do. If I were to go to them and say, you know who this guy is, Hudson? I never heard of Hudson. Well, you should, because he's your representative. You know, people don't know, but they voted anyway. But typically what happens is people vote party. If they don't know the guy or they don't know the woman that's running for judge or for superintendent of natural resources, they have all kinds of different elected positions in different states. They don't know who that guy is. So what do they look for? They look for party, right? This guy's the Republican. Cover that in. All right. Of course. And what happens is the down ballot looks red, right? It just looks red. Wherever there's a Republican choice, pick 4 of the following. They just pick the Republicans or a Libertarian, right? But when it comes to president, they select Joe Biden. You see, that's odd. That's a very small number. And then there's another classification of ballot. Now, this usually makes up less than 1%, 0.75, 0.8%, something like that. Yes, say Cindy Albertson says, Professor Bauer, YouTube is not up. We're getting an error message and we keep refreshing. Correctamundo. YouTube is finito. It has been taken off. You know why? Because America Free Radio went live at 8 o'clock. America Free Radio went live at 8 o'clock, and YouTube said we are not going to let America Free Radio out there, so we are shutting down. That's the power we have. But that's okay, because we thought ahead. We are streaming live on Facebook, Periscope, Twitch, and DLive, as well as Revolution Radio on freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported network in America. So the global syndicate soldiers are in place. If you read the book Charm of Favor, you did read the book Charm of Favor, right? Well, here, let me put the rotating pictures up here. If you go to my website, brooksagnew.com, so simple. Just go to the store link. You can do that while we're live. You can do this. Open another tab, go to my website, and what you will find is my 11 books that I have in print, including 7 bestsellers. That's Asteroid Mining, the Future of Energy. Awesome book, in color. Great conversation piece. But you're going to find a book called Charm of Favor. Charm of Favor describes what we're going through right now. Yes. Well, I wrote it in 2011 as a screenplay. And in 2015, things in the book started to happen. So I started the series, which was the Birth Trilogy, and when I finished with that, I wrote the prequel, which is Charm of Favor, and that is the book we're talking about. So if you read the book Charm of Favor, you realize that there's a group called the Global Syndicate. The Global Syndicate has been in power for thousands of years. They have ruled the world with nothing but wooden ships, armies, navies, and politics and money since the earth cooled. What is that? Southwest Arizona is down? Oh, you mean YouTube. Nutball News says Southwest Arizona is down. He's in Southwest Arizona and YouTube is down. Right. Well, that's no problem. Because all you have to do if you're listening on a Revolution Radio, just flip over to one of the other platforms. Okay, just flip over to one of the other platforms. Yes, the chat is working, Onslow. That's correct. And he's writing back to Cindy Albertson. Yes, it seems to be, but the chat is working. That's because I don't know why, but the video is down, but the YouTube chat is working. But if you want to watch the video and you want to keep up with the audio, just flip over to DLive. Let me put the link in there. Because you can't hear me, right? All you see is a gray screen that says, we're having an error because America Free Radio is on and we cannot let you see that truth. All right, .tv. And that will get you to DLive. All right, so now that goes out to everybody in the chat room. And then people can go and they can see the video. And Onslow says he's on Revolution Radio for the audio. Good for you. Good for you. So you're chatting in YouTube and you're just listening to the audio. You don't want to do the video. But the video is so much better. I'm wearing the Punisher hat and everything. Okay. Listen, an organization preparing civil resistance to oppose President Trump's legal challenges is out there. And see if I can find the screen I want to run. There it is. I'm going to flip over to this. They're going to, this group calls itself Hold the Line, and it's organized around a document for planned civil resistance in the event President Trump should refuse to vacate the office. Well, that would be January 20th, but they're going to back up their plans. They're hurrying, they're scurrying. I can see them out there arranging things. Its lead author, Hardy Merriman, is the president of the International Center on Nonviolent Conflict, what's known as the ICNC, if you've seen those monograms around. And he specializes in training activists to oust governments overseas, abroad. And he's done so in the Arab Spring protests that brought the Islamic Muslim Brotherhood to power in Egypt. So he has experience. I left the day before the Arab Spring when it happened. I was in Cairo at the time. You could feel the tension. And yes, thank you very much, Half-Breed. Very good. See, he likes the hat. That's good. So I have one vote for the hat. And you could vote more in the chat, and I'll see it. That's good. The group claims to have trained between 4,000 and 5,000 activists in the United States. I can tell you right now, it is way more than that. It's more like 30 to 40,000. It's a lot. It's a lot. They're well-funded and well-dispersed. Watch and keep your eyes open. In a conference call with supporters that was held a couple of days ago in the United States, Hold the Line organizers discussed tactics and messaging for what they call 30 Days of Vigilance with civil resistance experts Erica Chenoweth and Maria J. Stefan. I'm going to leave these links so you can research them yourselves. I'll put it in the newsletter that goes out after this program goes off the air in about 2 hours. And if you're signed up for the newsletter, you're going to get it. If you're not signed up for the newsletter, you can sign up really easy. All you have to do is go to americafreeradio.com. Right there on the front page, on your phone, your tablet, your PC, right there, it says, get the newsletter. A button. Click that button. I don't ask for any information. I don't want to know what planet you come from. I don't want to know any of that. Give me your email address and your name, and that's it. And you're going to get the newsletter twice a week. And it will have substantial portions of the notes that I use on Wednesday nights and Sunday nights. And you could do your own research. And there's way, way more than I cover on the program because I get inspired and I'm responding to you in the chat room as Tool. Thank you, Raz, very much. She says the hat's cool. Right on. The hat is cool. The hat is hot. The hat is hot. Yes, you're welcome, Carrie McD. Thank you, Brooks, for the link. And now Carrie McD is in D-Live. It's awesome. It's awesome. Thank you so much for being there. And by the way, when we get to 200 followers in D-Live, and we're very close. We're very close. We get privileges. Yeah, membership has its privileges. And one of the privileges is you don't have to necessarily catch this program live. You can come there later and see the program anyway until the next one comes along and replaces it. But that's cool because that way, it's like if a tree falls in the forest and you weren't there to hear it. Exactly. It didn't make any sound. But if a tree falls in the forest and it's archived, you can come back later and hear the tree. And that's what it's all about. Anyway, they're the co-authors of Why Civil Resistance Works, the Strategic Logic of Nonviolent Conflict. Nonviolent conflict. Yeah, I see all kinds of pictures of that right now that I'm putting up there. Nonviolent conflict. Mostly peaceful protesting. Anyway, Chenoweth is a professor studying nonviolence at the Harvard Kennedy School. Stefan is a non-resident fellow at the Atlantic Council and formerly served at the United States Institute for Peace and works with U.S. Department of Defense and North Atlantic Treaty Organization leadership in Brussels. What do? They teach people how to topple governments from within. Wow. In the streets. Chenoweth dismissed ongoing legal challenges to election irregularities as frivolous lawsuits and urged supporters to follow talking points to normalize the fact. We call this the mantra. We call this propaganda. If you keep telling a lie often enough, pretty soon people believe it. Like, for instance, if you keep telling the lie that Joe Biden is the president-elect, pretty soon people will believe it. And they look up at the screen and they see China Joe with his non-cufflink shirts. And he's standing up there going from one stupor of thought to another. And behind him is a sign that says, Office of the President-elect. There ain't no such thing. There's no such thing as the office of the President-elect. I mean, I could put that on my wall back here. I could put that on my wall. That's how effective it is. There's no such thing as the office of the President-elect. I'm going to cover this in a little more detail, but just suffice it to say, this propaganda is what they mean. Normalize the fact, that the voters had decided, saying the American people are exhausted. We just want to move on. We just want President Trump to move out. And don't bother waiting till January 20th. Get your ass out now. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. Opposition to the Trump camp, challenging voting irregularities and incidents of alleged fraud comes even though Hold the Line's own commitment document declares, and I quote, all eligible voters must be counted. Irregularities must be promptly investigated and adjudicated. Legitimate results must be respected. That's what they say, but that's not what they do. Stefan urged Hold the Line supporters to extract commitments from key influencers. That would be me. I'm a key influencer. But they can't extract anything from me. I can take it. I can deliver the pain. Including elected officials, media, interfaith groups, and business leaders to endorse the legitimacy and recognize the results. In particular, Stefan called on Hold the Line to amplify statements from the business community, including Business Roundtable, Chamber of Commerce, National Association of Manufacturers, key corporate entities in this country, and have all come out with strong statements congratulating President Biden and Vice President Harris. Well, they're kind of missing some, like the Fraternal Order of Police, like the NRA, like AMAC, like listeners to America Free Radio. You didn't get our endorsement. Chenoweth called on supporters to thank and amplify Republican voices who had publicly acknowledged the victory and encouraged people to move on, referencing a list of such names being shared by organizers. In particular, organizers noted a statement by Pennsylvania State GOP representatives saying they would not seek to have the state legislature appoint an alternative slate of electors. In the face of mounting evidence of fraud, it seems at least some Pennsylvania GOP officials are resisting this manufactured stampede. Because it's not just a little bit of fraud, it's a whole bunch of fraud. And what it's setting up is this conflict. And the conflict is really something. I just need to explain to you how big this conflict is going to get. How it could get that big. And it really boils down to, I like that. Halfbreed said, you are the office of the truth. All right, truth, justice, and the American way. What I really want people to understand is that you are really the key to this conflict happening or not happening. While Hold the Line claims to support the will of the people and to be defending democracy, it's clear they intend to use sophisticated pressure tactics, well practiced in other countries, on various pillars of society in order to ignore the legal and constitutional process in favor of selecting presidents by media acclamation alone. That's what the danger is. The point is that Obama's third term can't wait to get started. They can't wait to get started. This is really the issue. If they thought, excuse me while I gulped, those of you listening on audio only, that wasn't me drowning, that was me drinking a little bit of orange juice. If they could wait, they would. But they know what's going to happen. Right now, Joe Biden, China Joe, and his team have gotten all the votes they're going to get. And the votes are all kinds of categories. They're legal, illegal, late, forged, electronic, using some means I'm going to explain to you in a second. They've got all the votes they're going to get. So when it goes to what's called an audit, which I explained to you earlier tonight, this three-step process of actually looking at the physical ballot. Did it arrive on time? Does the signature reasonably match the signature of the registered voter? And is that voter alive? Okay. And the third criteria, which is, did the vote arrive on time? Does it have a matching signature? And is the person alive? It's pretty simple. If those three criteria aren't met, then it's not a legal ballot. But those ballots are in the system. And they're not just a few dozen, like in Michigan, where they found 60 ballots that had the exact same signature on them. They're different people, but they have someone else's name on them that signed it because they thought it's got to have a signature, so I'm going to sign it. But it's all the same signature on 60 ballots. Obviously, if one of them is legal, then only one is legal, not all 60. And the point is, you say, oh, well, that's an isolated incident. That's just one person, being a jerk. Look, you caught it. The system worked, right? It's hundreds per voting district where these things are occurring. Hundreds times 60. It's like 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 votes. And then there's one other issue. The other issue is a piece of hardware and a piece of software. You've heard the names, but you really don't know what they are. The first name is called Hammer. Hammer is a computer, okay? It's a supercomputer. And it's so fast, it switches so fast that it can actually see into the future. I don't mean like 2 minutes into the future. I mean like 50 milliseconds in the future compared to other computer systems. In the world of cyber traffic, this is like a week. It's like a week. Because what it allows you to do, it allows you to head fake markets. You can head fake markets like, I'm going to buy 1 million shares of Kodak. Oops, no, I changed my mind. 49 milliseconds later. But the computers in Wall Street, they see a buy order for 1 million shares of Kodak, and immediately the price of Kodak shares jumps just a little bit. But then they head fake it. Oops, I didn't really buy the shares. So what'll happen is a couple of minutes later, the price will come back down because the buy order went away. In that period of time, things happen. Money is being made. That's what Hammer's capable of doing. That's why Wall Street has such very, very fast computers, but Hammer is faster. Now, Hammer is used by the military. It was developed by DARPA. It is a satellite-connected computer. Doesn't go over the internet. It can transfer enormous amounts of material. We're not talking about 1 or 2 gig. We're talking about teraflops. It can move tremendous amounts of data between locations. Scorecard is a piece of software. Scorecard is a piece of software that's pretty old, but it has been, of course, upgraded. It also was developed by the military. And its specific purpose is to manipulate vote totals between data transfers. I don't mean while you're voting on the machine itself. Scorecard doesn't exist on the machine itself. There's a software package called Dominion that exists on the machine itself. That tallies the votes. 2,000 people come, they vote on this machine, they scan all these ballots in, the ballots are tallied, but that takes up the memory of the machine. So then what happens is the machine is supposed to be connected through an intranet, which means it can transfer its memory of all the ballots that were cast on that one machine through the Dominion software to a data storage unit, which is like a server that exists at that voting station. It collects all the information from all of those voting stations through the intranet. However, What has actually happened is those machines were not connected to the intranet. They were connected to the internet, the same one you and I are using right now. And that's where the scorecard software comes in. Because what happens is when this machine goes to transfer its information over the web to the data storage unit, the little server, scorecard reverses a few of the votes. It ain't a whole lot. 200-300 votes at a time, 400-500 votes at a time. When you have thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of votes coming in, who's going to miss 500 votes? But the point is, a lot of times 500 votes makes a difference. It makes a difference in the election in a state, and it can make a difference in an election in a precinct. Well, as it turns out, Hammer and Scorecard were being used, and by the way, that Dominion software is being used in 30 states. 30 states, including all the battleground states that are still not decided. And what happens is the scorecard software moves numbers from Trump to Biden, Trump to Biden, Trump to Biden, Trump to Biden, just a little bit at a time. A savvy poll worker who was, I guess, a supervisor at this particular precinct noticed something was wrong. It was significant. It wasn't a dozen or 24 votes. She wouldn't have caught that. No. It was 6,000 votes in her precinct. So what did she do? She did the logical thing. She went to the paper ballots. After everything was counted, it looked like Biden had won, and she said something's wrong. So they pulled the paper ballots and they hand counted them. Easy to do in a small precinct. It doesn't take days and days to do this. They found that the totals were almost 6,000 different. Trump actually won that precinct by almost 6,000 votes, about 5,700 votes. If it was that way all across Michigan, which I don't know how many precincts there are in Michigan. I think there's like 136. But think of that. 6,000 votes, 136 precincts. Do the math. Yeah, it's big. It's like 780,000 votes. That's a lot. That's a landslide. That's the state. That's the state right there. Just in the difference between the electronic total and the paper total. We're not talking about matching signatures. We're not talking about dead people. We're not talking about late arrivals. We're just talking about the difference in the data transfer using scorecard software connected to the Dominion system that has these things connected together. Look at all these people in DLive. You see YouTube, what happens? You shut down globally. You shut down all over the United States just to stop America Free Radio. And what happened? Everybody moved. They just moved to DLive, just like that. And now they're watching and they're listening and they're getting the information anyway. And you can't stop DLive. It's privately owned, it's uncensored, and it is blockchain format. So, yeah, stay on DLive. Hans Hurricane is right. Stay on DLive, YouTube. I can't say those words. I know it's DLive, but this is a family program. We don't know the age of the people that are listening. Yeah, I agree, Carmine. You're right. YouTube. The YouTube. I'm going to get a little beeper. I think I have one right here. Here we go. My little R2D2 beeper. YouTube. See, always prepared. Obama's third term. Can't wait to get started. Well, they're not going to wait till January 20th. They're not going to wait for Christmas. They may not even wait for Thanksgiving. Obama administration officials are telling interviewers that Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden already has been speaking with foreign leaders. Really? Seems to me I remember Sally Yates accusing Michael Flynn, who actually was appointed as the National Security Advisor, of violating the Logan Act because he spoke to Kislyak, who was the ambassador from Russia, at a cafeteria while he was sitting with other people. This actually is why the Logan Act was created in the first place. It wasn't created to prosecute a national security advisor doing his job, incoming of the actual president-elect. That's what a real president-elect is. A president-elect is when the opponent has conceded and the president has won more than 270 electors, which China Joe has not. China Joe has not. Because, as predicted, only and first, right here on America Free Radio, I said 5 to 6 states. This is way back in the summer. 5 to 6 states will withhold their electors in order to push this into the 20th Amendment scenario. I think it was actually Easter Sunday that I said this. That goes back a ways, doesn't it? I was the first. 5 to 6 states would withhold their electors to keep either candidate from winning 270. The idea was to push the vote past the deadline in the Constitution so that Congress would have to step forward and act by appointing the president, and then the Senate would appoint the vice president. Of course, it's one state, one vote, and that is based on state legislatures, not the number of congressmen you have. You get one state, one vote. So there's 50 states. How many votes is that? It's 50. 50 votes. That's it. And if it's tied, well, then we break out into civil war. No, there are Supreme Court solutions for this. Is there precedent? No. Never been tested. 20th Amendment's never been tried because we always come up with an answer before January 20th. But they're not going to wait that long. The unindicted co-conspirator in violations of the Espionage Act, Ben Rhodes, who was Deputy National Security Advisor for Obama, told MSNBC that Biden is assuming the presidency. Yeah, well, you know what happens when you assume? You make an ass out of you and me. We're going to have the pageantry already of the president-elect announcing his advisory board. He's going to start announcing cabinet secretaries, Rhodes said. And as I said, Rhodes is an unindicted co-conspirator in violating the Espionage Act. The center of political gravity in this country and the world is shifting to Joe Biden. Not. Foreign leaders are already having phone calls with Joe Biden, talking about the agenda they're going to pursue January 20th, close quote. You see, they're not waiting. They're moving forward. They're out there making deals. This is why the Logan Act was created in the first place in 1799. It was created to prevent American citizens from making deals with foreign leaders that go against presidential policy. That's what it's there for. And who would be most likely to do that? Somebody that's running for president. Exactly. They would make deals with foreign leaders. And what this does is it sets up an attack, as it were, on the United States. And we don't even know who these 6 leaders were. I know one that wasn't there. Vladimir Putin wasn't there. I would say Little Kim wasn't there. I would say Mr. Xi, probably not there. I would say maybe Iran was there. Maybe some other Ukrainians were there. Those are the world leaders we're talking about. Obama's former acting head of the DOJ accused Lieutenant General Michael Flynn of violating the Logan Act by communicating with foreign officials, including then Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. Kislyak had been there forever. Oh, by the way, in order to keep Kislyak from testifying, no, I'm sorry, we did not talk about this. They killed him. They just killed him. And they didn't stop there. They killed 5 other Russian ambassadors. 5 other. All over the world. They hunted them down and assassinated them. 6 of them, including Kislyak. You know what Samantha Power said? Oh, well. Samantha Power was the ambassador to the UN who unmasked Trump and his followers in an illegal FISA warrant scam which was done all the way back before President Trump was even nominee Trump. Yeah, he was just candidate Trump before May 26th, 2016. Yeah, before then, they were already spying on him. They were already unmasking the names. This was the direct result of January 6, 2016 meeting where Obama instructed his cabinet and officers, that was January 6, 2017. I'm going to change that in my notes so I don't put that out there incorrectly anymore. This is between the time that President Trump won the election in an incredible victory over one of the most well-known candidates in history, HRC. We don't really say her name much here on this program. January 6, 2017, in a meeting where Obama instructed his cabinet and officers to do whatever it took to make sure Donald Trump did not complete his first term as president. He even consolidated the intelligence communities and then appointed his FBI director, his DOJ director, his national security advisor, and others in the room to put the right people on the job, and let's take this guy out. Well, after 3 years of being investigated by every intelligence community, the best of the best of the best in the world as ever known, President Trump came out squeaky clean. He's the cleanest, most violating human being to have ever held the office of the presidency. Joe Biden suggested accusing Trump's national security advisor, General Michael Flynn, accusing him of violations of the Logan Act, because he had chatted with foreign officials before he was actually sworn in. Oops, that's what China Joe's doing right now. Caught in a perjury trap and under threats of terroristic litigation against his innocent son, Flynn resigned after 1 month as Trump's national security advisor and was charged with lying to FBI agents. The Department of Justice has asked the court to drop the charges, but the judge over the case has refused. The Logan Act bars unauthorized private citizens from negotiating on behalf of the U.S. government with foreign representatives. That's what China Joe's doing right now. The act, and of course we have the forbearance rules, which I explained Sunday night. Forbearance, for lack of more time, forbearance means your opponent is on the ground, you have knocked him down, and you have the capability to curb stomp him, to bust his teeth out and break his jaw and make it to where he never eats anything but soup again for the rest of his life. But you hold back. You hold back. He's defeated, he's down, and you are not going to take your steel-toed Harley-Davidson boots and smash him in the back of the head to break his jaw against the curb. You have the power to do it, but you decide not to. That's forbearance. The reason we have those forbearance laws in this country is because the president is the president, right? He's the commander-in-chief. He's also the primary and highest law enforcement officer in the country. Can he order the Marines to do whatever he wants? Yep. Can he order the National Guard in Washington, D.C. to do whatever he wants them to do? Yep. Can he spy on you? Absolutely. Can he seize your money and revoke your passport? Sure, he can do all that. He has the authority. The forbearance means you don't do it against political opponents a certain period of time before the election and a certain period of time after, when you're still president. That's why we allow, after the election, we allow these several weeks up to January 20th or thereabouts when the inauguration happens. It was the 17th in 2017, but that's why we allow this period of time, because in America, we do this peaceful transfer of power. Bit by bit, office by office, stamp by stamp, ring by ring, code by code, it's handed off to the next president. And even if the next president is a different party or is a different color or a different sex or a different gender, I don't know how many there are now, I lost count, just go with me on this. He cannot take revenge against that person. He cannot use the power of the presidency. Well, I suppose he could, but what we do is we don't order the DOJ to do an FBI raid on their house and catch all the underage people at their pool party. We don't do that because it's called forbearance. That's how we get this peaceful transition of power. Except, of course, in 2017. That rule was thrown out the window and Obama went for it. He used the entire intelligence community to stomp on the rule of forbearance, and he went after President Trump for the entire 4 years of his presidency. Did it weaken President Trump? I'm just looking for a show of hands in the chat room. No. That does not kill you makes you stronger. The Logan Act was specifically designed to prevent undermining of the presidential policy with foreign leaders by cutting deals to overthrow the current administration. And that is precisely what Joe Biden is doing. He is doing exactly that. He is undercutting the current administration by making deals with foreign leaders. President Trump isn't done with them yet. President Trump has been negotiating with them. President Trump has sanctions against some of those countries. You cannot speak to foreign countries if you are not authorized to do so. Now, while various leaders have openly congratulated Biden, many critics are accusing the former vice president of attempting to overthrow the U.S. government by undermining Trump's foreign policy. And that's where we find ourselves. That's where we find ourselves. And these 6 states, which I predicted would withhold their electors in order to throw the U.S. election into turmoil, not allowing either candidate to reach 270. Chat room's going too fast for me, guys. Let's see. YouTube can eat balls. They censored too much lately. Demon75, right on. Right on. I assume you mean, what do you call those things? Multiballs. That's what they are. I assume that's what you mean. Carrie McD says, I agree. M24 Cowboy, not quite. Seventh Orbit says, no way. You guys are all in there. You got the right feelings. 15 more people subscribing, and he can re-air. I believe you. I'm not that close, really. Truth be told, am I actually at 185 followers on DLive? You guys are so good. You're so good. I like that. All right. I don't know if YouTube's back up yet or not. Jonathan is still chatting on YouTube. He may be listening on Revolution Radio, which is where we're streaming live by audio and then chatting on YouTube. So I just want to let you know that I am seeing your chat, Jonathan. So everything means a lot. And don't forget, when you're on YouTube, down there at the bottom, there's a little square with a $sign in it. That's the top chat. I don't know if it still works or not. Maybe we can test it by putting like $1 million in there or something, see if it works. But DLive is a blockchain format, so you can go into DLive and you can get lemons, you can get ice creams. This is their cryptocurrency, okay? And all that adds up. You can contribute those while you're in there in DLive since you're signed up. Miss Truth Be Told, hello to you. Good to see you out there. She's on DLive as well. So Michigan government is allied to overthrow the American government. That sounds like a brutal claim, doesn't it? But what happens with states that conduct acts of sedition? Well, in times past, the Insurrection Act was invoked, and the state's leaders are placed in prison. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel sent a cease and desist letter to a website that published evidence prior to the election that Detroit poll workers were trained to engage in and cover up vote fraud. Nessel is contesting big league politics reporter Shen Trejo's reporting that poll workers bragged they were committing voter fraud in a variety of different ways. Yeah, they were tearing up ballots, they were drawing on ballots, they were burning them, throwing them away. Trejo, who said he witnessed vote fraud in Detroit, considers the AG's letter to be witness intimidation and fears it will be used as a pretext for criminal action. Let's see here. Trejo reported Detroit poll workers were trained how to lie, how to handle ballot challenges from Trump supporters, poll watchers, told to call 911 on any challengers and use COVID as an excuse to deny poll challengers access to viewing the ballots. Keep them 50 feet away, 100 feet away. Make them use binoculars to see the ballots. They even challenged ballots were to be processed as regular ballots. That's not supposed to happen. They're supposed to be sequestered and looked at again. Incoming State Representative Steve Carra and Michigan activist Bob Cushman filed a successful lawsuit against Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson over the allegations that the poll workers were being trained how to commit vote fraud. The Gateway Pundit reported it had been approached by independent witnesses who confirmed that the predictions by #DetroitLeaks before the election were accurate. And they forgot to mention American Free Radio. America Free Radio made all of these predictions already. It's already part of the record. Poll workers for Wayne County, Detroit at TCF Center in Detroit indeed refused challenges from poll challengers, using COVID as an excuse to deny access to review the process and tabulated challenged illegal ballots. Well, we know what's going to happen to Michigan, right? Michigan is going to be recounted just the way Georgia is being recounted. You've seen the memes already, right? You've seen the memes of Joe Biden with this astonished look on his, the regular look. And the word gulp written out beside, that's what a meme is. You have a word and you have a facial expression. And the caption is, Georgia is going to be recounted. Ooh, I'll tell you, bad things going to happen. Bad things going to happen there. Of course, as you know, we here in North Carolina did it the right way. Yes, we delayed just like everybody else because we have a Republican governor. But today, we announced that, maybe it was yesterday, President Trump had officially won North Carolina, 15 electors. It's coming. One of the 6 is down, 5 to go. So there's also a few whistleblowers out there. There's one with the USPS, the United States Postal Service. He is being attacked by the fake stream news. We here at the mainstream news, yes, we are the mainstream. We represent 71 million Americans right here on America Free Radio, and you are part of it. Countering a House Democrat claim that a U.S. postal worker whistleblower has recanted testimony that a supervisor ordered the backdating of mail ballots in Pennsylvania, Project Veritas has released an audio recording of federal agents coercing the whistleblower who stands by his testimony. He did not recant his statement, and he is ordering the newspaper to recant their story because it is false. We have senators involved. We have the Department of Justice involved, and this is going all the way to the top. Last night, Russell Strasser, an agent of the USPS Office of Inspector General, said he is going to look into the bottom of it. I don't know who he is, and judgment's still out on him. He says, I am trying to twist you a little bit because in that, believe it or not, your mind will kick in. Kind of like the way he thinks, but like I said, the jury is still out. He said, we like to control our mind, and when we do that, we can convince ourselves of a memory. But when you're under a little stress, which is what I'm doing to you purposely, your mind can be a little clearer. And we're going to do a different exercise, too, to make your mind a little clearer. So this is all on purpose. Project Veritas says it will soon release other recordings of federal agents attempting to intimidate and coerce Hopkins into recanting, but he did not. This is Soviet-style interrogation. That's what this is. The committee, which O'Keefe called a series of tweets by the House Oversight Committee, this Soviet-style coercion and suppression. The committee said on Twitter that the whistleblower has completely recanted his allegations of a supervisor, blah, 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 and that is an absolute lie. His affidavit stands, and he is standing by his story. And we're going to see how that comes out. But here's what I predict. Before we go to break here, I predict that Michigan will be forced to recount because There are hundreds and hundreds of affidavits in Michigan. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Don't go away, okay? Just hang in there.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Enter into a world unseen on Raven Star's Witching Hour. You will encounter eclectic topics from the realm of spirit brought into our matrix of truth. With your host, the Solaris Blue Raven. Solaris will bring you an array of unique guests covering topics from ghostly spirits to amazing anomalies, covert technology, UFOs, and shadowy global events.
And that's right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Saturdays, midnight till 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Let the magic rise.
Syndicalist commune. We take it in turns to act as a sort of executive officer for the week. Yes. But all the decisions of that officer have to be ratified at a special bi-weekly meeting. Yes, I see. By a civil majority in the case of purely internal affairs. Be quiet. Or by a 2/3 majority in the case of more... Be quiet. I order you to be quiet. Look, you stupid bastard, you've got no arms left. Yes, I have. Look! It's just a flesh wound.
I don't believe I've seen such a display of courage, skill, nerve, grace, and stupidity.
I'll do you for that. Oh, what? Come here. What are you going to do, bleed on me? I'm invincible. You're a loony. The Black Knight always triumphs.
Roundtable Live, Monday through Friday, 1 a.m. till 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Bring your mind, bring your ideas, bring your voice. King Arthur had nothing on us here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com.
This is the people's war. It is our war. We are the fighters. Fight it then. Fight it with all that is in us. And may God defend the right.
Warning! Warning!
We gotta stop them! They're gonna kill us all! See how the trouble you've started? Be they the government, be they industry, be they organized labor, be they anyone, or human beings. Time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported talk radio station, throwing ourselves upon the gears of the machine. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it.
Right, you tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Revolution Radio. All right, thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And now we're going to get back to your host.
All right. Thank you so much. This Revolution Radio is not a caller format yet. I am going to add some equipment to the studio so that I can take live phone calls on DLive and on Wednesday nights. Sunday nights, we broadcast through another studio that does have a caller board. But Wednesday nights, we don't have a caller board. So I'm going to fix that. I'll probably fix it right after Christmas. And then next year, we'll do live callers on this hour. I also wanted to let you know Contact in the Desert's coming up June 4th, 2021. It'll be here before you know it. And here's why. Because this is the largest UFO conference on Earth, the biggest in the world. And this year, they're limiting it to 8,000 people. It's going to sell out. It will sell out so fast. So if you're planning your next year, what you want to do, I would definitely get tickets for 2 and see me at Contact in the Desert. I am one of the keynote speakers on Saturday night at 9 o'clock in a room that seats 1,200. And you can be there too. And yeah, you can stand a couple hundred more people in there. We've done it. But I promise you, this presentation will just blow your freaking mind. Just absolutely blow your mind. Okay, let's see here. There is a listen live line. Oh, hang on a second. I need to fix something here because I don't have live caller line. So I'm going to take that off and that off. There we go. There we go. Now we've taken those off. That might be everything. I'm not exactly sure. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and take these off too because you're already listening by internet, so you don't need those lines on there. Okay, those are gone. All right. Listen, if you've bought one of my books on Amazon and you don't have an autograph in it, I fixed it. All you have to do is get this. It's an autograph card. It's a sticky back card. They're free. All you have to do is pay shipping and handling. I will sign this and send it to you for however many books you have. And, of course, anything I send you, you're going to get this genuine imitation armband that says, "The present from the future." That's us. That's what we do here. And don't forget to sign up for my December webinars. I do have a webinar on Manifestation Masterclass. This is something you don't find very much anywhere else. You can get it in other places, but you're going to spend a lot more money, and you're going to get an eminently less qualified teacher. $47 is the best $47 you're going to spend on yourself. It would make an outstanding Christmas gift for anybody you know that's, say, over the age of 40 or 45 years old and doesn't have a big 401k to manage. Will it make you rich? It can, but what it's designed to do is put you back on your life purpose, whatever it is. I got skills, okay? I've been consulting with the Fortune 500 for almost 3 decades. They pay me big money because I fix their problems. If I can fix their problems, I damn sure can fix yours. So go there. It's easy to find. Go to my website, brooksagnew.com. The link is right here, right? See, I'm just pointing at it. It's right there in the description. brooksagnew.com. Click on there. Go to the webinars link in the menu and sign up. $47. It's the price of a movie instead of a condo payment like you're going to get from other people. Okay, let's get back to it because we have a lot of stuff to go over here. I want to make sure we get to it all. The Pentagon Wars. If you've read the book Charm of Favor, you know all about the Pentagon Wars. Hallway by hallway, floor by floor, the global syndicate has placed their warriors. They fight America by using our own laws and our own regulations against us. They spy and they counterbalance patriots in a battle for billions a month in taxpayer funds. President Trump is trying to bring the American troops home from endless foreign wars, and this has been blocked for years by the global syndicate. President Trump on Monday, a couple days ago, fired Secretary of Defense Mark Esper. Today, he fired Mark Toome, and he's bringing in Mr. McGregor, who is going to fix the Office of Pentagon Policy. Yeah, there are big things happening in the Pentagon Wars, okay? In order to follow through with this campaign promise and finally clean out the swamp from the Pentagon. This is not easy to do because we're not talking about strictly politicians here. We're talking about 4-star and 5-star, generals and admirals, okay? They're political animals, big time, especially after Obama cleaned out a lot of the flag officers and kept only the ones that would report to him in there. It is difficult. I'm so glad. XTRT73 says, "Hi guys, this D-Live is awesome." That's what I'm talking about. By the way, a moment of silence. No. I should have fireworks. We have finally reached the 200 followers on D-Live. This is great because this pushes us to the next level, and now we can include archives so people can listen to this program after it's live. That is so awesome. Thank you so much, you guys. Well, in order to do this, the president has announced that an individual who is immensely talented, and if I were to make a guess how valuable this individual is, what level of integrity this individual has, I would be wrong because he is that good. He is that good. His name is Kash, K-A-S-H, Kash Patel. Kash Patel. He is a cyber genius. He's a statistical whiz. He's right up there with me when it comes to this. We clock right together. And I think that the reason we are so alike, he and I, is because when I was writing the book Charm of Favor, I did my research, of course, but I had to be intuitive. I had to stretch out, my mind and connect with the force, this life force that goes through all living things and connects us all together. I had to connect with this force in order to see what was going to happen. And as I saw it, I wrote it. That's why Charm of Favor is so prophetic. But I believe that whatever source Kash Patel was using at the time to do his analysis for the Trump administration, I was tapping into the same thing. That's how closely tied we are. I think our biorhythms, our mental frequencies are very, very much alike. I think the world of Kash Patel. He is a National Security Council staffer, and he's going to serve as the Chief of Staff for Acting Defense Secretary Christopher Miller. Oh, yeah. Now, you need to understand the way things work in government. You have a secretary, but the secretary signs stuff. He signs stuff. He reports to the president. It's the acting secretary, okay? It's the undersecretary that does all the work. He's the guy that rolls his sleeves up. He's the guy that loosens the tie, goes in the back room. Brawler, a guy that gets the work done and then reports to the secretary. Well, Kash Patel is now moving from a National Security Council staffer, which I think may have something to do with the 17th letter of the alphabet. We can't say it on media, but you know who I'm talking about. I think that this person, above all others that I have suspected, may be involved. He is now going to be the guy. Yeah, he is now going to be the Secretary of Defense. This is incredible because, as you know, Esper was just a lobbyist. He was a lobbyist for Raytheon. You know who Raytheon is? Raytheon makes cruise missiles. Raytheon makes rockets. Raytheon makes Hellfires. They make the shit, the stuff. And they make money when those things are blown up. And one of the things President Trump has not been doing, much to the chagrin of Raytheon shareholders, he ain't been blowing nothing up. He is the only president, other than President Carter, that hasn't started a war during his tenure. And that's pretty incredible to me. That is doing what you promised to do during your campaign. The other guy, McGregor, he is a very tough guy. And he comes in and removes Tomb. Mr. Tomb, like Tomb Raider, you know who I'm talking about, right? Tomb Raider. Like Mr. Tomb was a deep state swamp rat. the deepest, swampiest of rats. He gone. Okay, that's a Pentagon policy director. I've been to the Pentagon several times as a civilian to try to do business with the federal government. I'm going to explain a little bit to you about that a little bit, how that works. But when you're there are certain things you have to do. There are certain things you can't do. There's meetings, and there are protocols to these meetings. And if the meeting is going well and the generals or the buyers that you're talking to are like it, then the undersecretary will come in and sit down. And when the undersecretary comes in and sit down, it gets serious. This is when the bait is cut. And, you know, all the times I was there, Obama was president, and I didn't get anywhere with the undersecretary. Now, he shut me down so fast it wasn't funny. Why? Because we were a small business. Because we had not made contributions to the Obama administration. Once they look over at their staffer, they look over like this. They look over. And the staffer does this. He has a clipboard or an iPad. He does this. That means you're not a donor. As soon as he does that, the undersecretary says, well, you know, I've never seen a business actually start up by doing business with the government. Why don't you get up and get started and, you know, sell to other people, and let's see what you can do, and then come back and talk to us. And it doesn't matter what you say after that. It doesn't matter if you say, but Mr. Undersecretary, all these generals here in this room, all these buyers, and right here the Secretary of the Army, they all want my truck. I have orders for 7,000 trucks right here. I have the director of the GSA sitting right here, across the table. They all want it. That's a start for us. That's no good for GM. I mean, Ford could give a rat's behind about that little amount, but it's great for us. That's a big start for us. That's a couple of years of business for us. And that definitely helps us get started. You know what it does? It goes in one ear, and it comes out the other ear, and it goes right to the undersecretary garbage disposal. And off it goes. Just like that. It's done. That's how much power these guys have. Deep state swamp rats. Kash Patel previously served as an aide to Representative Devin Nunes. You know who he is, right? Remember the guy? Opposite of Adam Schiff on the committee that found the skullduggery, the coup, discovered everything. He's on the House Intelligence Committee, and he was involved in pushback against the Trump-Russia investigation, including being involved in authoring a 2018 memo alleging bias by federal investigators toward Trump and his team. Kash Patel is the man. He has uncovered and documented massive espionage operations in the Pentagon, and he has discovered that the Syndicate has been conducting a protracted coup against the American government for nearly 4 years. Kash Patel will now have the authority to begin taking back America, floor by floor, hallway by hallway, inside the Pentagon. Do not look for this to go peaceful for very long. Fortunately, schools are still out, so mass shootings in schools, that's off the menu. This battle will very soon spill out into D.C. as the world's most powerful lobbyists have top security passes in that building for a reason. The GSA, which is the General Services Administration, is at the epicenter of protectionism in the Pentagon. They are the biggest customers in the world. They decide who gets to do business with the government and who doesn't. Those decisions are worth hundreds of billions of dollars per month. That's how much business we're talking about. So what we're seeing here is that the party of inclusion continues to win. We are the party of inclusion. We are uncensored. We are unfettered. Do you know what's kept this country free? Do you know what's kept freedom and liberty on the earth for almost 400 years? It's been us. It's been America. Actually, it's been the armed American because of two things. First, the First Amendment, the freedom to speak, the freedom to write, the freedom to share our analysis, except on YouTube, which, YouTube has been globally, at least in the United States, was blacked out. The instant we went live and the America Free Radio logo shined, YouTube shut off. They did not want you to hear this. Fortunately, the chat kept working, and you all have now transferred over to other platforms. We knew they would come and get us. I knew this. I foresaw it, as so to speak. And I started on DLive and Twitch and these other platforms about a month and a half ago. No one was here. I was all by myself. There were a bunch of gamers, nice guys. I like watching people play video games. But it was a good platform for podcasting. Like what we're doing. And so 3 weeks ago, last week, when YouTube decided to terminate 20 of the top voices of freedom in this country, X22, Red Pill 78, Space Shot, got them all. Got the amazing Polly. 1 million subscribers. You know how hard it is to get 1 million subscribers on YouTube? Whew, it's something else. They don't pick YouTube stars out of us. No. YouTube stars are the people that drive around and eat ice cream, in their cars and wear ill-fitting clothes or eye piercings or whatever. To be 1 million subscribers in this genre, you have to work your butt off. Gone. Just gone. Amazing Polly is Amazing Vapor Trail. Gone. Tens of millions of subscribers tossed into the middle of the night with nowhere to go for truth, justice, and the American way, except for America Free Radio and a few dozen other small guys like me. Well, a few of you came. But I said, it won't be long. It won't be long. They'll come and get us. So I'm going to start blazing the trail in these other genres, these other platforms. Twitch and DLive and Facebook has a streaming live service, and also Periscope, which goes out through Twitter. We don't get a whole lot of viewers there, even though I have thousands and thousands of followers. They don't get notifications, so it's basically shadow ban there. But Twitch and DLive are different. They're different. They're open, unfettered formats. So free press is what has kept this country free. And the Second Amendment to back it up. Because you could say what you want. But the most fearsome force in the entire world is the armed American. Nobody has an army like ours. There is no 71 million man army of people who are skilled with firearms, and you don't know who they are. They'd be working at the Minute Mart. They're factory workers. Oh, sure, they're cops, maybe, if they're not compromised. But they're everywhere. You can't make it. You wouldn't make it 10 blocks trying to take over our country because of us. We're the first line of defense. So the party of inclusion continues to win. Democrat control of the House of Representatives is dwindling. Day by day, they are losing another congressional seat and another and another. And you will never guess who's taking the seats away from the global syndicate. You don't have the time to guess. I'm going to tell you, okay? Yes, Tim Johnson, 74, he says he loves X22 Report. I do too. I love RDoc. I love Red Pill 78, Space Shot 76. I love to listen to these guys. All gone. All wiped out by YouTube. And now tonight they said, well, we're going to stop this. No more of this. We're going to shut YouTube down altogether if that's what it takes to take America Free Radio off the air. 13 female Republican candidates have been declared winners this week in their House races, including the holster-wearing Colorado businesswoman who scrapped to keep up her open her pub amid strict coronavirus rules. I think they probably want to use the word scraped, not scrapped. Lauren Boebert, the open carry pub owner, unseated incumbent GOP Representative Scott Tipton, a swamp rat, in the primary, and then won Tuesday against Democratic challenger Diane Bush. As many as 33 Republican female candidates would win House seats after voting is concluded, which hasn't happened. All the vote counting hasn't happened yet. And that's pretty incredible because the Democrats have a very, very thin margin of leadership in Congress. As you know, the majority party in Congress gets to set all the committee chairs, judiciary, financial, all that. They get to send a budget, and they also get to pick the Speaker of the House. And that's dwindling away. I think we're down to 4 seats. That's it, 4. Another winning candidate whose race attracted national attention is Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia. Greene won an open congressional seat in suburban Atlanta despite a comment that suggests support for the controversial QAnon conspiracy and saying that black males are slaves to the Democrat Party. It's QAnon. Interesting. I know what Q is. I know what Anon is, but I never heard of a QAnon conspiracy. You? I don't have any idea what that is. I'm pretty well connected. I know stuff, but I'm sorry, I don't know what a QAnon conspiracy is. Let's see. Cuban-American Maria Elvira Salazar of Florida, also a former broadcast journalist for Telemundo, she won. Michelle Fishback of Minnesota, former lieutenant governor and the first female president of the state senate. State Senator Stephanie Bice of Oklahoma. That was a hell of a race. State Representative Nancy Mace of South Carolina, also a real estate agent. And former State Representative Yvette Harrell of New Mexico. The ones we were really looking for were Laura Loomer in South Florida. I think the jury's done with that one. I think Laura lost, but it was a great run, and I think she'll be back. She raised a lot of money, and she's controversial, yes, but no more so than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And the other one was Kim Klacik. You could pronounce her name Klacik, but it looks like classic to me with a K. In Baltimore. Now, this would have been a great win. She's a great candidate. She greatly represents her district in Baltimore, and they have not elected a Republican in at least 50 years. And, you heard that? So Blanche says, I heard Laura Loomer is still in the running. I thought all the votes were in and done, and everything was done but the certifying in Florida. But it'll be interesting to see, because if anybody deserves to be in Congress, as hard as she has worked, she made a name for herself during, several things, but she went to Las Vegas and discovered a lot of cover-ups in the Las Vegas shooting, especially with the sheriff. And she's really lucky because almost everybody that came out against that or had something to say about that, they're all dead. They hunted every one of those people down and killed them. Yeah, she's lucky, very lucky, and she's a tough lady. And there was one other, and that was Jim Collins, who was running in Maxine Waters' district. You remember the ad that he had where he's in his tennis shoes and his suit with no tie, and he's in front of Maxine Waters' mansion, which is actually outside the district. She doesn't even live in the district that she allegedly represents. And he made his TV commercial in front of her house. I thought it was great. It was a great ad. And I don't know how he did, but I think the jury is still out on that one as well. Do I want to talk about the RQ-180? Sure. It's a short piece, and you all need to know what the RQ-180 is. You remember the RQ-174. How many people remember? Wow, you gotta listen to the program more. When Obama was president, we had this stealth drone. Oh, it was top of the line stuff, man. Every kind of stealth technology you can imagine. Besides, it was cool looking. It was like right out of Independence Day. Stealth drone. We're flying it over Iran, and were surveying, looking at stuff and listening to stuff and filming stuff. And all of a sudden, somebody on the ground in Iran, they didn't shoot it down, they just took control. All of a sudden, the RQ-174 got a mind of its own, banked left, headed over to a local airport, and landed. Somebody took it over and landed it. Turns out the RQ-174 was built with a whole bunch of Chinese chips. Now, the Chinese chips, they program great. They're fast, they're reliable, have passed every test. Unfortunately, all the Chinese chips had Chinese firmware on them. Not the software, but the firmware. And what it allowed was a backdoor into the chips. And China gave the keys to Iran. And they were able to plug in, hack into the RQ-174, the United States' top stealth drone, that was flying over Iranian territory, and it just banked left and landed at a local airport. And of course, Obama gave them a stern look and said, "Return that drone." And they looked at the screen and said, "Not." And so they promptly took it apart and they copied it. And now the Iranians have a drone that, damn, looks just like the RQ-174. So what did the United States do? Did we say, wow, they're really smart. They outsmarted us on that one, boy. I tell you what. Nope. They came up with the RQ-180. Yes. Turns out the RQ-180 flying over Edwards Air Force Base, it is unlike, well, substantially like, but unlike any publicly acknowledged by the U.S. Air Force. It appears to be the RQ-180. I'm going to leave the link in here. You can read a story on it in Popular Mechanics. It's a high-altitude spy drone. The RQ-180's existence has never been confirmed by the U.S. Air Force. A photo of what could very well be the Air Force's shadowy RQ-180 appeared and disappeared from Instagram. Ooh, so official. The photographs I have rotating right now in the audio, in the visual that you see there, you could see all of them are slightly different from one another. We don't really exactly know what it looks like, but it has been photographed from the ground flying over Edwards Air Force Base. According to Aviation Week and Space Technology, the aircraft was flying in a racetrack pattern at an estimated altitude of 20,000 feet, easily photographed. The photograph, along with the magnified version of the image, appeared on Instagram. The post was later taken down, but archived and reposted on Twitter. Yes. The mystery aircraft does indeed look like the new B-21 Raider bomber, a smaller version of it. The B-21 Raider is a new strategic bomber under development by Northrop Grumman. It's going to take the place of the B-1 Lancer, which was a big boondoggle. It looks cool. It's supposed to be a supersonic bomber. It's kind of scary. It does have a decent payload. It can fly at low altitudes with ALS, that's automatic level systems. But I don't think it was that reliable. I think the Lancer had a lot of issues. And, of course, the B-2 Spirit, which is the black one that you see fly over football games. It's a stealth bomber. Not very fast, but it does have a decent payload, and it is almost invisible at night. The only one that's not going to be replaced is the one I worked on when I was at 319th AMS in Grand Forks, North Dakota, and that's the B-52. The B-52 airframe still can carry 20,000 pounds of bombs, still can fly at high altitude. It has been fitted with a lot of stealth technology, coatings and things like that. It has a lot of engines, it has a lot of payload, it has a lot of range, and it is said that the last thing that you hear in battle is the sound of a B-52 flying overhead. That's the last thing you're going to hear, ever. As long as you live, which is only going to be a few more minutes. Anyway, they say that the aircraft is currently under construction and won't fly till 2022, but too late. We saw it. Hopefully, there are no Chinese chips in it, so it's not going to be flown to the ground in Iraq. Currently, we use the RQ-4, by the way. It's called Global Hawk. You've seen it in enough movies to know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a high-altitude reconnaissance mission plane. It is not really stealthy, but it's a small footprint, hard to find. It's also very quiet, and it can stay a long time up in the air because it has a little bitty engine. It does take a while to get into place, but once it's in place, it really gives a dimension to Looking Glass. Looking Glass is the jet that you see that has like the big dinner plate on top of it that's going around, you know, the big round thing. That's Looking Glass. That is basically command and control of a battlefield. All the drones, all the surveillance, all the ground-based cameras that they have, everything feeds into Looking Glass, and then Looking Glass gives the battle strategy to the ground. And it's protected by numbers of aircraft. Of course, it has its own defensive mechanism, but fighters guard it, and growlers. A growler is a specially fitted plane that blanks out radar and blanks out radio and cell phone signals. So usually what happens is the growlers come in first. They blank out the radar. They blank out the radio. They blank out the cell phone so nobody can say, hey, look what I just saw. They can take the picture, but they can't send it anywhere because all the airwaves have been scrambled by the growler. Once the growlers go in, then the strategic fighters can go in, what we call, they either drop cruise missiles or they drop laser-guided weapons and take out the defense systems like anti-aircraft guns and things like that, and then the battle very quickly progresses. Most of the growlers are not stealth. They're not stealth. When they blank out the radar, you can't even tell what's in the air anyway. And these attacks normally happen at night. So the only thing they have are searchlights, and they just spray the sky with bullets and hope to hit something. The Air Force has never publicly acknowledged the RQ-180's existence. So in early 2020, the service sought early retirement for more than 2/3 of the 35-strong RQ-4 Global Hawk fleet. They cost about several $1 million apiece. Not so much to maintain, but they're very limited in what they can do. They can carry the mini Hellfires. The mini Hellfires are not meant to shoot other aircraft down. They're meant mostly from air to ground because your target's not going to move around much, so you don't need the extra propellant. All you need to do is get the explosive to the ground, and that's what the mini Hellfires do. They're about 3 feet long, and they travel at about 900 miles an hour. So, I mean, a jet could run away from them, but your ground targets like trains and fuel depots and bridges and things like that, no match for the mini Hellfires. All right, so let's talk about the stress that's going on right now. Obviously, it is somewhere in the middle of November right now. I think it's 11/11, right? Tonight's 11/11. So we got till December 11th and then January 11th, and then we're in the final week. Wow. Thank you so much for that generous donation. Douglas Friedman gives a super heart. I appreciate that very much. Thank you, thank you. That's in Periscope. I appreciate that very much. The time is shrinking, and effectively what's happening with the order of the recount in Georgia. Of course, they've already given North Carolina 15 electors over to President Trump. When Georgia happens, the model for recounting a state is going to be established. That's being led by Doug Collins. I trust Doug. He's a good guy. He's going to lead it right. He's going to make sure no stone is unturned. He's going to go after basically those first three things that I talked about, whether the ballot was late or not, whether the signature matches and the person is alive, okay? And then they're going to decide, toss those ballots out. I think what we're going to see in Georgia, and keep in mind, we're only about 20,000 votes apart, so this is razor thin. But I think what we're going to see in Georgia is about 200 to 300,000 ballots are going to be tossed. Oh, that's going to make Stacey Abrams furious. Absolutely furious. Voter suppression. How can you suppress dead people, Stacey? You can't suppress dead people. Dead people are not supposed to be voting, okay? Voter suppression. Wait a minute. You had until the time the polls closed on Tuesday night to get those votes in there. And you didn't get them in there. They didn't arrive till Thursday or Friday or Saturday or the next Monday. Sorry, they just don't count. What's going to happen is the pressure is going to start pushing the animal, the global syndicate, back into the corner. Because now you got these 5 other states, right? You got Arizona, you got Michigan, you got Wisconsin, and you got Pennsylvania, right? So you have these states set up. Yes, Nevada. We'll get there. But you've got these states set up. What they're waiting for is the precedent. They're waiting for somebody like the Supreme Court or some state to set the precedent. How are we going to recount these? And what happens if the physical count is different than the electronic count? Oh, and it's going to be. And it's going to be significant. I think what you're going to find between these 5 or 6 states is upwards of about 3 to 5 million fake ballots that don't belong anywhere in that count. And then you're going to find another 3 to 5 million. I know this is kind of blowing your mind here, but trust me on this. You're going to find another 3 to 5 million in the electronic difference. Between the paper ballot and the physical ballot, there's a 3 to 5 million vote difference. And then in the paper ballots, there's a 3 to 5 million ballot that don't belong in the count. Okay, they're duplicates. They're illegal. They're ballots that have 1 dot on them. Biden. All these, no signatures, no nothing. Those are all going to be tossed out. Those ones with just 1 mark on them and no signature and no address, those are going to be tossed out. Those are not legitimate. We do see some of those, but normally they have a signature on it. I don't know who these other guys are. I'm just voting for this president, dude, and I'm signing it, and in it goes. Those are fine. 1 dot, no signature, gone. That's out. I'm sorry. So what are we talking about here? 6 to 10 million are going to be out. And keep in mind, the 71 million that voted for Trump, those are real. So now we're in the, 63, 64 million, about the range that Hillary Clinton was. It's not really that they're voting for Joe Biden. They're voting against Donald Trump. But we're in the 63 to 64 million range for Biden or for the global syndicate, and the 71 to 72 million range for Trump. What happens now basically is you're backing the global syndicate up into a corner. And you know what happens when you back up a vicious animal that refuses to surrender. They bite. So it is one thing to know your opponents. They don't have a soul. It is quite another to watch in real time their depravity play out with gleeful disdain. I would say be careful how hard you laugh. Anyone saying that what is happening right now in Georgia is about to happen in Pennsylvania, it's about to happen in Michigan and Wisconsin and Nevada and Arizona, is not a conscious effort to rig an election, is either a victim of propaganda or you are willfully burying your head in your own anus. Because I told you what was going to happen. I told you ahead of time, all the way back in Easter, and I kept saying it all the way along. Though the Transition Integrity Project, through the Transition Integrity Project and breadcrumbs left throughout the campaign, I told you it was going to come to this. I went all over this. For weeks and months, I've been saying that Trump's performance was strong enough and his coattails were long enough to preclude the Democrats and the Davos crowd from trying to pull off the theft of the election. I've been saying it. But that doesn't mean they're going to give up. So around 2 a.m. on Tuesday evening, I realized that they were actually going to do this. And I texted a friend the next morning, and he wrote back, "Civil war it is then." Wow. That was chilling to me. Because how does it start? Everybody just doesn't pour into the streets and say, okay, well, I guess we're having a civil war. That's not how it starts. It starts in a series of escalating events, like a shot heard around the world. And we're wondering what the heck that event is going to be. And then CNN provided the answer. Yeah. Of course, if everybody would have just read Charm a Favor, you would have the answer already. But CNN provided the answer today. CNN anchor Jim Sciutto said today on CNN's newsroom that President Donald Trump's refusal to concede the 2020 presidential election could put America at risk for a terrorist attack like the 9/11 attacks. What the F? That's CNN, the most busted name in news. But there it is. That's the desperation. Somehow, some meeting he had, I'm sure that's not one of their talking points, because I'm sure they brought him in during the commercial break and said, "Are you crazy? Look what you just said." Co-anchor Poppy Harlow asked, "Yes or no? Are the actions of the president is taking now putting this country in danger?" Close quote. Former Bush administration Assistant Attorney General Jack Goldsmith said, "Clearly, it's not great for our democracy." Sciutto said, "Yep, that's it fair. Let's put some teeth on that, if we can, for a moment, because they are sitting members of Congress who are around in their positions at the time of 9/11, and 9/11 Commission report specifically cited the shortened transition after the 2000 election for having an impact on national security." I'm quoting here, and I'm quoting his quote. "It hampered the new administration in identifying, recruiting, clearing, and obtaining Senate confirmation of key appointees," close quote, close quote. The fact is that we have experienced for how shortened transition makes a difference in national security. Why aren't we hearing from Republicans about that, granting that potential danger? Close quote. Goldsmith said, I mean, you're absolutely right. The 9/11 Commission were in a situation where, very analogous to this, where the General Services Administration could not certify the winner and therefore delayed access to the president-elect to intelligence briefings and early pre-clearances for classified information. They said that was one of the reasons that may have led to 9/11, and we're going to be doing basically the same thing because they're not allowing the President-elect Biden to have access to these resources. I can't explain why some Republicans are acting this way. Maybe they don't understand the implications. It's a very dangerous game that they're playing. It's a very dangerous game that they're playing. Listen to this. When Secretary of State Pompeo gave his presentation where he talked about a lot of policies and procedures and plans that they were implementing to bring world peace and to further the cooperation of America with other freedom-loving countries, the reporters in the room could not wait for him to stack his papers together because they wanted to ask a question. And what was the first question out of their mouth? Is that President Trump going to support a peaceful transfer of power? They didn't hear a word he said. They didn't care about a thing he said. Why? Because they don't want Trump's policies to go forward. They want Biden's policies. They want the global syndicate's policies to go forward. And how did Pompeo react? Very calm. Same tone of voice. Kind of a smile on his face. There will be a peaceful transition of power to the second term of Donald J. Trump. Thank you very much. All you have to do when you're judging a man is look at his enemies. If the man has the right enemies, he is the right man for the job. I have often told you about the use of agencies, departments, bureaus, and administrations by the global syndicate to smash competitors and obtain interest-free financing. Well, I was right. Again. The global media empire is not dominated by big tech executives. And now, they are dominated by big tech executives. That's the global media empire. You have the networks. You have the 6 major media moguls, right? But you also have the big tech giants. you also have the big tech giants. And what we're basically talking about here is Twitter and Google and YouTube and so forth. So, and let's not count out Microsoft. So now they have delivered the 2020 election results as promised to the Syndicate, and it's time for their reward. A recent report outlines the number of big tech executives that are expected to join China Joe's transition team in the coming days. The team includes insiders from the entire range of Silicon Valley masters of the universe. A report published by Protocol, and I'm going to leave this link in my newsletter. If you're signed up for it, you'll get it in a couple of hours. It has revealed that a huge number of big tech executives are expected to join China Joe's presidential transition team, with Protocol stating there's definitely a definitive Silicon Valley representation and thought leaders on tech issues involved in shaping the future of the federal government. You understand that? Shaping the future of the federal government, your government. Notable tech execs that are going to be joining China Joe: Tom Sullivan, Amazon's Director of International Tax Planning, State Department; Brandon Belford, Lyft's Senior Director to the Chief of Staff, Office of Management and Budget. Very, very powerful. Divya Kumaraya, Airbnb's Strategy and Program Lead for Cities, Office of Management and Budget. Will Fields, Sidewalk Labs Senior Development Associate, Treasury Department. Nicole Wong, former Google and Twitter, former Obama Deputy Chief Technology Officer, Office of Science and Technology Policy. Martha Gimbel, Senior Manager of Economic Research of Schmidt Futures, Council of Economic Advisors. Linda Etim, Senior Advisor at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Team Lead for International Development. You understand what we're talking about here? This is payback. Even though the election result is still disputed, Joe Biden has not been certified the winner of anything. Not a state, nothing. Joe Biden is already forming his transition team, which includes many of these former Silicon Valley employees, including Eric Schmidt. That's correct. According to Financial Times, presidential contender China Joe has hired both Jessica Hertz, the former associate general counsel at Facebook, that's a lawyer, and Cynthia Hogan, former Apple vice president for government affairs, to his transition team. Eric Schmidt, the former Google chief executive, Google just turned YouTube off to stop this program tonight. As soon as we went live, at exactly 8 o'clock, and a few seconds before we even got off of our break screen, shut the entire Google down coast to coast just to stop America Free Radio. You're still connected. We're still connected live. You make sure to share this with all your friends out there, because we will survive. We are the free press, and we will keep America free. Eric Schmidt has been an enormous fundraiser for the Global Syndicate, and he's being talked about to lead a new technology industry task force. And guess where that's going to be headed up? In the White House. Yep. Schmidt is known for his close ties to the Democrats, but this goes way over the top. This connects the 1984, the Aldous Huxley, Brave New World. This connects it all, because now you have the richest, most powerful tech executives in the world. These 4 companies have more net worth than all but 7 countries on this planet. That is the Global Syndicate. And behind it, BLM, BLM wants their payday. BLM wants their payday. They want to get paid for what they have done. Instead of just putting some of the $1.5 billion BLM processed for the Democrat Party in their pockets, they became a pass-through. They didn't help a single black life. They didn't help a single black small business owner or a black school. In fact, they destroyed at least $2 billion in property and killed dozens of innocent Americans. And now it appears they want a payday for all that hard work and sacrifice. They don't want it for black lives. They want it for the founders. Black Lives Matter has a political agenda, and its leaders now demand that as a paycheck for supporting the potential Biden-Harris administration throughout the election. Democrats use the White House to do the Marxist organization's bidding. BLM co-founder Patrisse Cullors sent a letter to former Vice President China Joe and his vice presidential nominee Heels Up Harris, congratulating them on winning the presidential election and demanding a meeting to discuss BLM's expectations for their administration. Well thought out, community-driven, fully resourced agenda that address the particular challenges faced by black people must be the priority, she wrote. I have a copy of the letter here. According to Cullors, a Democrat victory would not have happened without the resounding support of Black Lives Matter. In short, black people won this election, she said, noting the group's efforts to vote and organize along black-led organizations around the nation. Black Lives Matter invested over $1.5 billion in this election. That probably makes them the biggest investors in the world. She said this cannot continue. Black people can neither afford to live through the vitriol of a Trump-like presidency, nor through the indifference of a Democrat-controlled government that refuses to wrestle with its most egregious and damnable shame. Yeah, she's getting pretty bold. You can afford to do that when you have 9 zeros on the check you just wrote them. She said, quite simply, we want something for our vote. We want to be heard, and we want our agenda to be prioritized. We issue these expectations not just because black people are the most consistent and reliable voters for Democrats, but also because black people are truly living in crisis in a nation that was built on our subjugation. You get the picture. So they're trained Marxists. They know exactly what they're doing. And now they want to be paid. And they want to be paid in your blood. Well, we know the coincidences are not natural. Sidney Powell, who exposed the Obama administration's framing of Flynn, says there are tons of evidence that hundreds of thousands of ballots are going to have to be discarded. We have evidence of the same number of ballots or the same number of votes being injected into the Wisconsin system and into the Michigan system 3 different times. That doesn't happen. Like 38,000 votes, 38,000 votes, 38,000 votes in both states at the same time. This will all be cured. Georgia's going to show us the way. We're going to deliver the pain. But I want you specifically to go out and look for the good in people and help it to grow a little bit every day. That's what we do here at America Free Radio. We're not going to fight this way. We're not going to take them apart by force. If they come at us with force, we're going to move out of the way. If they come and corner us, we'll have to fight for the country. I'm not much for killing for the United States, but I have to do some strong thinking about whether I'm willing to die for it. I know this. I love the United States of America. I think that they can be greater than they are, but we've come a long way in 4 years, and primarily because of the leadership of President Donald Trump. And I would like to see that leadership continue, as would you. So let's make it happen. Where we go one, we go all. We'll see you Sunday night at 8 o'clock.